just say I'm pissed off, Angelo. I'm pissed off.
There's not a will me to shut up and let me answer.
I'm calling both games.
We have arrived. The season finale of Sportsball. The apex of the NFL season before playoff time. Hope will be restored. Hearts will be broken. Ambitions and follies to be revealed. That is Week 17. Unlike most weeks, I'm going to separate the games by importance to the overall situation. Let's get the games that mean little out of the way first. All that's left for the Patriots are bragging rights. The first time where they won't be moving on in over a decade, but at least they have one thing that they can hang their hat on. Dunking on the Jets. Yes, it is a tradition that has been cherished for a very long time. The gold standard of the Boston teabagging. Cam Newton will probably be gone in the offseason, but he at least gets to leave New England and maybe the NFL on a high note. For Sam Darnold, just more of the same frustrations that have ruined him as a top prospect. Don't worry, Sam. You're probably going to be traded for a third-round pick this offseason. You're going to be free from Gase. That's a win in my book. The in-division rivalry where neither team chooses to do anything on the defensive side of the ball. One team has no cornerbacks and a lost identity. The other has no key defenders and an outdated identity. Matt Stafford comes out of the tunnel with about 15 different wounds and an uncertain future to lead the Lions once again. Kirk Cousins does the same, but with a more secure one for Minnesota. It's a battle of offense, unsurprisingly, but we need to make sure one thing happens to secure the stalest of narratives. Detroit getting fucked by shitty calls. How the fuck is this roughing the passer? How? It was just a fucking tackle. This was a penalty so bad that Clay Matthews got flagged for it by proxy. Want something else? How about another episode of What the Fuck is a Catch? It's all in a day's work for Detroit in misery. This game was just icing on the cake. I expect more of it in the offseason when new management probably chooses to do yet another deep rebuild. Lions, when people unwillingly get fucked, they at least try to get paid for it. You guys are selling yourselves way too short on that end. While the Buccaneers try to sew up the top wildcard spot in the NFC, they have a relatively easy opponent to feast on. Atlanta. They've resigned to their fate at this point. It's just another lost year for them. Imagine if they did what they should have done and fired Dan Quinn last season. They may not have choked one of the many games they have over the year. This matchup wasn't a choke like last time, but a mere defeat. I know, anticlimactic, but the Falcons' defense is pretty bad and Tampa Bay needed a tune-up for next week. Let's just say that was the case today. In regards to draft position, I was mistaken. The Falcons don't have the third overall pick, but the fourth pick, which will probably be used to draft an edge rusher or linebacker. Prolongate the cycle of agony. They know what they need to do, but they probably won't do it due to cap penalties. What a shame. Disappointing season. It's what these two franchises have in common as of late. And it's more insidious than they both realize. Denver was expecting to be a dark horse this season. The only things that went dark were their offense and injury list. Vegas lived up to their city's reputation by being up big early on, going all in a risky move, and losing everything in another collapse. Although if that city is known for another thing, it's for putting on a good show. This game is an example of such. There may be little to play for, but the scoring is fast and furious. The Raiders keep making mistake after mistake in the second half, but Denver can't capitalize on them. The neck-and-neck pace will continue on until the very end. Even with Gruden's grinders rushing two men and a third spying on the quarterback, they'll give up a 97-yard passing touchdown. What a defense. Fortunately, Vegas strikes again with a chance to tie, but Gruden wants to go in for the kill. He tried this last season as well against the same opponent, but the result was less than optimal. This time, it worked out a little better. Also, special shout out to Daryl Worley for nearly fucking everything up again. What a goddamn trash fire. John Elway's tenure has been a mess covered up by Peyton Manning. They haven't won a damn thing since the Super Bowl 5 years ago, and it's been marked by many mistakes, especially at QB. So what is his punishment? Firing via promotion to team president, where he will oversee the new GM hire and chuck him into the pit if things go sour yet again. I'd say Denver would have a fighting chance, but with the ownership issue still ongoing, leaning no there. The Chiefs already have the top spot in the AFC locked up, so the majority of their starters are resting. This means that the Chargers can come out to play today. Not that it means anything, but it's more of an audition for next year. And hopefully the new coaching staff that comes with it. Imagine this team with a coach that knew how to manage a game clock. Justin Herbert hopefully continuing his development and a bunch of players on defense coming back to full form. This is a potential playoff team. This one against the Chiefs may mean nothing this year, but for the fall, it could be big if they manage it properly. However, this is the Chargers, so they'll somehow fuck this all up like they usually do. It's the embodiment of pain this franchise knows too well. New Orleans may be fighting for the number 1 seed, but they have a serious problem on their hands. Alvin Kamara was caught up in the vicious grip of Corona Chan. He will be out for this game and maybe the first round of the playoffs as well. And more good news, the rest of your running back core is out due to close contact. Fortunately, it didn't matter much since the Saints walked into Carolina with heavy weaponry. And a steamroller. It's not even close on this front. The Panthers were brought to heel and skinned for their precious fur to be sold on the black market. Former Saint Teddy Bridgewater? Let's just say Carolina may be having some buyer's remorse. He was benched and many doubts linger towards his long-term viability on the team. As a high-floor quarterback, his floor hasn't been anywhere near it. Despite questions, New Orleans secures the 2nd seed and another chance at destiny. And hope Kamara is cleared to go for next week. The Seattle experience is one that runs a gamut of emotions. From hope to elation to pain to agony to extreme anxiety, the Seahawks are this and so much more. It appears the defense is now carrying this team to competitiveness in games, as if the offense got tired of doing so in the beginning of the year. The 49ers are well coached, but this is potentially for the number 1 seed. Doesn't matter that San Francisco is injured to shit, Seattle still has that deal in place with the local hospital systems. A documentary came out a few weeks ago called The Fight for the Soul of Seattle. It must have been reporting on the Seahawks' maddening ability to keep games uncomfortably close as everyone dies watching them. But knowing this team, they will somehow pull ahead in the end as the offense shows up at the last possible moment. It's enough to get the 3rd seed in the NFC, but you can't keep winning games like this. If you play with fire, you're eventually going to get burned. Just remember that. Wait a second, San Fran, I have something for you too. It's not Lombardi, but it is a trophy for winning the injury bowl. Go ahead. You've more than earned it. Now to the important shit. Playoff spots. The AFC South is still a neck-and-neck race. Tennessee only needs to win and they clinch it. If they lose and the Colts win, we all might laugh at the Titans. Now this game is going against the Texans, it might be laughing at them. Despite J.J. Watt ripping the team to shreds in the post-game presser last week, it's as if the defense hasn't shown up. To be fair, I wouldn't want Derrick Henry running at me full speed with how he'd kick my ass, dashing up and down the field to where he managed to get over 2,000 yards rushing on the season. It's okay, Houston, most of you are extended before the year, you're not losing your jobs. As the game almost turns into a laugher, we get a new revelation thanks to the might of Deshaun Watson. The Titans' defense is incredibly flawed. We knew they had next to no pass rush due to injuries and ineffectiveness, but the secondary? They're getting their shit pushed in. Houston is not only back in the game when they were dead to rights, they've taken the lead. Thank the gods the Texans' defense is still terrible. Tennessee has swiped it back from Houston, but remember, they still have Deshaun Watson. They get into field goal range and tie it back up with limited time. The world is ready to laugh at delight. Or so we think.
Gonna go deep. Down the middle of the field it is!
Oh yeah, the Texans' defense is terrible. How anticlimactic.
Hits the upright and bounced through!
Although they doinked in the game-winning field goal, now that gets style points. It's also good enough for Tennessee to claim the division and shatter the curse of 9-7. The AFC wildcard spots are going to leave a team with more than 10 wins out of the running. Such is life. For this situation, every team but Indianapolis controls their own destiny. They're going to need some help to get that ticket to the dance. But first, the Colts will need to take care of their own business. Remember in Week 1, Jacksonville upended them in what was a surprising upset. 4 months later, it's even more of one. The Jags haven't won a game since. By starting Mike Glennon yet again, it doesn't look like they're intending on it here either. To ensure the importance of this game, Frank Reich has requested that no other scores be reported on in the stadium. So we will honor this request by talking about these games one at a time. Jonathan Taylor, this is your show. He will do his greatest act, running the ball with efficiency and precision to give the Colts the best chance they have of winning. It was getting a little hairy there for a second, but Indy did what they needed to do. Now if they get help, that's up to fate to decide. Baltimore has been playing with fire since the shit heard round the world. This must have been glorious inspiration for them today. They used the Bungles in Paul Brown Stadium as their toilet. The Ravens straight up shit on Cincinnati. Lamar and the offense had free reign to do whatever they pleased. They learned their lessons from another Week 17 game from a few years ago that shall not be mentioned, rushing for over 400 yards on the ground. The only surprising thing that happened here is that Zach Taylor is still going to be head coach next season. Diet McVay is getting an extra year because, I don't know, he's terrible. It was a relentless bitch slap, and with momentum thanks to a soft end-of-season schedule, Baltimore makes it back to the playoffs. Good work. You may have saved some jobs with this. There may be some luck for Cleveland today, as thanks to the extended playoff seeding, the Steelers are resting key starters in this matchup. Mason Rudolph is taking back the reins against the team that assaulted him with a helmet. Signs point to the hatchet being buried on that front. I can't say the same for the Browns offense, which is still struggling to gain traction despite getting their wide receivers back. I won't say it's a bad performance, but it's pretty disappointing. This is their Super Bowl, yet they seem to be lacking in a few areas. Thankfully, the Steelers aren't at full strength, so Cleveland isn't in serious trouble yet. Keyword is yet. Pittsburgh's offense is moving the ball with haste. Browns fans have seen this movie too many times. They blow the game in the most insane circumstances, preventing them from having any joy in life. It may be happening again here. It's only a one-possession game, and the Steelers are charging down the field. They've scored a touchdown to have the chance to tie. Again, really?
Rudolph fires it too high.
Anus is unclenched, Cleveland. It was ugly as hell, but you've finally broken the curse. The Browns have a statement of legitimacy. They have finally returned to the postseason. It's all good, Cleveland. Nothing can hurt you anymore. Except that. Everything hurts again. This poor fucking team. Indianapolis is clenching in fear now. They may be playing later than these teams, but we need to pretend that there is tension and drama in this Sportsball episode. It's too bad that the football gods didn't think the same way. Remember Fitzception and his heroics? Corona-chan took that personally. He's out for the game, so the Dolphins are going to have to rely on Tua Tagovailoa for any hope whatsoever. It doesn't work out that way. The Bills need to make more statements in regards to future legitimacy, so they will show no mercy. Why give Miami any hope when they have selfish interests to nurture? Josh Allen does have some team records to break, you know? And Matt Barkley needs to look good too. Miami, I hate to see it, but you are the odd man out this time around. Don't feel discouraged, you performed a hell of a lot better than any of us expected you to. You'll be back around soon enough. I'm proud of you, boys. Indianapolis, as a result, should send Buffalo a fruit basket or 7. They are able to get back into the playoffs. Phillip Rivers will have at least one more go-around. Miami may be out of the playoffs, but they at least get a consolation prize. Do you remember the Laramie Tunsil trade before last season? When I thought they were crazy for trading away a premium blindside tackle for futures that would have probably been late first-round picks? Turns out it's not only worked out in their favor, but it's been more fruitful than any of us have imagined. The Texans season has been another nightmare and a long streak of them. Bill O'Brien's butchering of the roster and subsequent coup d'etat has led to them stumbling to a 4-12 record. Due to strength of schedule, Miami will receive the 3rd and 35th overall picks in this upcoming draft. They may end up drafting another potential premium blindside blocker with it as a result. Ironic how that works out. The Dolphins are playing with house money this offseason. It'll be interesting to see what they do. The NFC wildcard is much less complicated than the AFC. For anything to change, the Cardinals have to win against the Rams. The Bears would have to lose in this scenario for them to be knocked out, and probably for the best. If both the Bears and Cardinals win, the Rams go home early. Who's getting dunked on today? Here we see the time-honored tradition of Green Bay lording over all those underneath them in the NFC North. They will always bring those pesky underlings to heel. The Bears are pretending that everything is fine. They're going to keep Roken Matt Nagy around for beating bad teams? Who are they to interrupt an enemy when he is making a mistake? Aaron Rodgers will continue to unleash his might upon the football world. He was dominant, yet it felt like he barely tried to. That feels dangerous to me. Same as for the Bears, who unsurprisingly couldn't keep up with the Packers. It's no contest. Green Bay secures the number 1 seed and a first-round bye. Chicago is mediocrity defined. Now all they can do is wait and see how Arizona does. The Rams can just bask in securing a berth. It may be tough for the Cardinals, but there is some hope on the horizon. Jared Goff will not be playing in this game. The honor of starting quarterback goes to John Wolford, who last played with the Arizona Hotshots in the AAF. What a fucking world. It's here that the football gods demand all the chaos. as Kyler Murray, dealing with injury himself, was taken out of the game on Arizona's first drive. Thus, their new quarterback is Chris Streffler, formerly of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL. Let's fucking go! What we get is ugly football so beautiful to witness it should be on display at the Louvre. At least the Rams are doing something. The Cardinals are... dear God, it's terrible. Kingsbury's calling plays like Kyler is still in the game. It's painful as hell to witness. Everything that was allegedly good about this team was laid bare for all of us to look in horror at. The pick six at the end of the first half merely reinforced it. John Wolford didn't look half bad, excluding his first throw, which is damning as hell for the team defense. Even with Kyler coming back into the game, there's no chance of avoiding the fate of being thoroughly outcoached, such as running an option play on a 3rd and 18, with an injured quarterback down by 2 scores. This is the genius of Texas Tech. It's what we all thought he'd be. Exposed. Same goes for the Cardinals. Goddamn poverty franchise. You know what this means, right? The McCaskies strike again. The team's long-term future is fucked as nothing will change, because the Bears have just drunkenly stumbled into the final NFC wildcard spot. Now for the outcome you were all interested in. Tank Division! For the NFC East, the name redacted are win and in. If they lose, either the Cowboys or Giants can make it. It depends on how they play each other. If there's one thing that the Dallas Cowboys have done over the past 25 years, it's completely shit the bed in key situations. You know how well their offense have been playing for the past few weeks? This wasn't the case here. The Giants have put together a surprisingly stout defense, and it shut their passing attack down for most of the day. Andy Dalton and the Cowboys could barely do anything, but it was just within reach as to not have their fans lose any hope. Pro Bowl tight end Evan Engram is doing his part as a double agent to ensure this. Dallas' destiny is to lord above all those in their division. These pesky G-men are no match for Jerry Boy and his wealth. If only their head coach wasn't so bad at game management, maybe they'd have a chance. Not challenging a catch which was shown to have hit the ground, allowing the Giants to kick a field goal and go up by 4? Come on, Mike, did you think you had Aaron Rodgers as your QB again? No, man, you have Andy fucking Dalton. He'll take you somewhere, but not where you truly want to go.
To take their first lead of the day, Dalton in trouble back there, throws it up for grabs, and it's picked!
Good fucking riddance. Time for the 4 greatest words in football. How about them? Oh my God, Goldman, what the hell was that? Thank God you recovered it, so let's try this again. How about them Cowboys? After witnessing the events that unfolded at the Link on this night, on this pivotal game for Tank Division glory, I can safely say, this is the greatest game of football I have ever seen. No other game besides Monsoon Bowl at Heinz Field in 07 comes close to the absolute brilliance that I saw here. It starts with Alex Smith returning to the fray and continues with Jalen Hurts being hurried to hell and back. Nobody could do much of anything. Only stunning silence and the beauty of primetime shit shows. This is peak Tank Division. The stuff I had dreamed about back in October and November. A climax of refuge to see which offensively challenged football team hosts a home playoff game. Name redacted as the lead by 3 at halftime, but the true genius would occur in the second half. And it's all thanks to Doug Peterson, the analytical guru. The wise man of 1,000 two-point conversions unleashed his full-scale dumbassery for all of us to see. Robo Smith was picked off by a great play to put Philly in the red zone with a chance to at least tie. They failed to score on 3 downs, so why not try for a 4th instead of going for the field goal? Fuck, Doug, you don't have the personnel to pull it off. Stop it. No, I don't mean the whole goddamn offense. Hurts was bad today, but Wentz is a healthy scratch. So that means Jalen was benched for Nate Sudfeld. He did just as badly as Hurts did. What the fuck is Peterson doing? This kind of shit not only causes accusations of blatant tanking, it potentially ruins the locker room dynamic. This guy is going to be Philly's head coach next year? He should have been fired in the middle of the game. He's a disgrace who lucked into a Super Bowl because he played a Matt Patricia defense. That's it. What's even worse? New York Giants players and fans are calling this an outright conspiracy that needs to be investigated. If you were to look at these tweets, you would think that their team was a 10-win squad who was a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Fuck you. The G-men were trash and your offense was uninspired refuse. You were lucky to even be in this conversation. 6-win teams usually go to the fucking Tank Bowl. Now stay there. Therefore, as a result of the wonders of Tank Division, it happened. The meme division is won by a meme itself. The Name Redacted will be playing a playoff game at FedEx Field.
I can't believe it. My purebred, which cost me $1,700, lost to a rock.
And there you have it. Another year of sports ball goodness in the books. It was a year. That's all I'm going to say about that. No matter what happens, I will forever cherish Tank Division, as it was a beacon of light in a vast fanless void. Maybe next year will be less iffy, but we all know the NFL is good for a few laughs. I expect just as much in the playoffs this year. Get ready. This is going to get very, very interesting. The final sacrifice must be permanent. Let us remember those we have lost on Black Monday. Oh my god, the terrible hire we all knew was going to be terrible from the moment he was hired was terrible. How unbelievably shocking. My question is, what the hell did the Jets see from him during his awful stretch in Miami? Dude, I should have offered my consulting services in that coaching search. I'd have just said to the Johnsons, this guy sucks, don't hire him. Boom, where's my payment? It was a mess from the beginning. Terrible offensive execution, completely misusing Le'Veon Bell from day one, malicious and power-hungry, ruining Sam Darnold. So much for the genius at work. He's down there with Rich Kotite in Jets infamy. I'm going to put it this way. If I'm sitting alone at a bar watching football, Gase should be a few seats next to me. That's how little I think of him as a coach. Dude, I wouldn't trust this so-called genius with high schoolers. Yet he'll get another job in football because it's a who-you-know industry. Yes, I am bitter about this. Dead man walking. That's all this guy has been since the start of the year. I still have no idea why he wasn't fired along with Caldwell at the end of last season, but the Jags have never been known for wise decision-making in their executive branches. It's not that he's a bad coach, he's just very vanilla. Nothing really sticks out as a strength for him. All that I remember from him over these past 4 years are bologna sandwiches. Not a good sign for long-term impact. He tried, and that's unfortunately all he brought to the table. He'll get a job as a position coach, so he's not going to be out in the cold for too long. Shit happens. Lynn is a strange coach. He was a guy who I thought was going to do poorly in the beginning since he came from the Bill shit show after Rex Ryan got fired. He ends up performing well in his first 2 years, but never sealing the deal. Then he gets completely exposed and overmatched with age and so-called experience. His cause of death is a fatal flaw of a lot of coaches. He never evolved. He didn't take that next step necessary to further his development. And that resulted in relentless stagnation. If you were to show him a game clock, you would think it was like reading the Torah. He squandered a lot of opportunities with his coaching, and it's no surprise that he was shown the door. It's par for the course with the Chargers. This is a very underwhelming offering, which is why the God shall continue to remain hungry for flesh. Amen.
Here goes McKenzie at the 16, hang of 4-9. Look at him, he's breaking tackles and finds some daylight and broke another tackle, and he's off to the races. The punter to beat. Here comes McKenzie, zigging and zagging, vigilant chasing. That's a touchdown! Oh, what a play! 84 yards!